What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the series where I rank the top 10 movies of every year from 2000 to 2025. And we're going to wrap it all up with the top 10 movies of the era. And today we're on to 2009. And without further ado, let's just go ahead and get into it because we got 10 movies here to talk about. Number 10 is going to be District 9. And this was an unexpected surprise for me when I saw this movie. I took a chance on it. I went to the theater and saw this by myself. This was back in the days when I didn't do that very often. I've done it a lot more since. Um, but I walked in not knowing what to expect other than there's aliens in the movie. And what I got was a commentary on apartheid, really, and among other things. There's a lot of other things going on here in the movie. And Sharlto Copley, probably his best performance, if you ask me. And been looking forward to a sequel to this for quite some time. I don't know if it's ever going to happen, but I really, really, really did enjoy District 9. And it's a very different kind of alien invasion movie. In this case, the aliens who are here have been basically quarantined or herded into their own little area of town in I think it's Johannesburg, but they're in South Africa for sure. Um, and are mistreated and yeah, and you know what? I've already said that there it is a very much a commentary on apartheid. So you can take that how you will and go ahead and check out the movie. And I'm going to move on to my number 9. My number 9 is a zombie flick, Zombieland. One of my favorite zombie movies, definitely one of my favorite zom-coms, as they've come to be known. Kind of a romantic comedy set within a zombie outbreak. And Jesse Eisenberg is our main character, and he is kind of giving us the rundown on the rules right at the beginning, and then he's setting out uh, to try to. I think they're trying to all get to the I forgot what the place is because it's been a little while since I watched it, but they're basically trying to get to the safe zone. And he runs into Woody Harrelson's character along the way, who runs in. Then they run into Emma Stone's character, uh, who has Abigail Breslin's character in tow with them, and they're just riding along together, trying to get to this safe place. And along the way, and they encounter Bill Murray in what is one of my all-time favorite cameos. And for me, Zombieland is nonstop laughs from beginning to end, and that's why it gets my number 9. At number 8 is going to be a movie that doesn't get many laughs at all. In fact, I may not watch this movie again. I won't say I won't watch it again, but it's not one that I'm putting on often because you have to be in a place where you've braced yourself for what this movie brings. And that movie is Precious. This is Gabourey Sidibe, her first acting role, I believe. Definitely her first movie. This movie is mostly known though, as far as outer wise, that for Monique winning the Academy Award and then kind of being blackballed, or more than likely being blackballed from the industry. And but she what she does here, you can't take away from her. She is a frightening figure in this film. She is the mom who abuses our main character. Our main character is Precious, and yeah, it's just it's a tough to sit through film, and because mostly because Monique and Gabrielle Sidibe poured so much into these characters, and the writing of these characters was amazing. It is based on a the full name of the movie is uh, Precious, based on the novel Push by Sapphire. Dumb that they named it all that, but anyway, the point is that the novel that they got it from was rich, and they managed to transfer that onto the big screen. I mean, you even got a good performance out of Mariah Carey, who shows up in the movie. Paul Patton is good in the movie. So every person feels real, feels grounded, and feels like they are either at their wits' end with what's happening or just fully enveloped in what's happening. And yeah, I could go on for days, but bottom line is, if you do decide to watch it, if you haven't seen it, it is a tough, tough, tough watch. So take that into consideration before you plop it in. My number seven film, and this is a lot more on the lighthearted side. We're back into the horror comedy, and this one is Sam Raimi's Drag Me to Hell. I want to say this is the first thing he did after the Spider-Man movies, but I'm not 100% sure on that. I think it is, and this is actually recession horror, making a commentary on recession since it pretty much happened right after uh, the the housing market crash in 2008. I want to say this was right. Well, obviously it came right after that. So we got a young woman here, and she's a banker, and she has to deny a loan for an old lady. The old lady curses her, and things happen from there. And you get all the Sam Raimi isms. It is truly a return to his Evil Dead days, and we get some gross outs, a lot of gross outs. As a matter of fact, and it's high octane. This thing moves so quick, and it's just a blast to watch. So, Drag Me to Hell got my number seven. Is a very, very, very fun movie. Speaking of fun, another one that's fun, uh, more in a dark comedy way also, and a kitty horror. And that one is Coraline. Fancy smancy steel book. I'm going to show off just a little bit here. And I really, really do like this. This was, I want to say I got this right when Walmart called themselves getting into the steelbook game, and they had a bunch of steelbooks on the shelves back then. I'm not going to take out the other side, but anyway, the movie follows our main character Coraline, and she and her family have just moved into this new neighborhood, and it's kind of a weird neighborhood, and the house is kind of weird, and she finds this. Uh, it's just it's a portal, but she doesn't know that. It's like the vent in the house. And when she goes through, she comes out on the other side, and basically there's alternate versions of everybody she knows, everybody that lives in the neighborhood. And of course, things go sideways. Things don't go the way they seem perfect at first, um, but then turn horrific, and horrific in a kid-friendly way. Okay, so don't. It's not gonna traumatize most kids, but it is tense, and I really appreciate everything about this movie. The stop motion animation is great. The writing is fantastic. Just the overall look of the film is really, really fun, and the tale that it tells and the messages that it tells, they all work, and they make Coraline my number six. Moves us to number five, of course, and number five is a movie that blends all sorts of genres. I mean, it's got lots of comedy in it. Some of it even dark comedy. There is some social commentary there, but it's very loosely based on World War II. Honestly. And there's a ton of action in the movie, and that is Inglorious Bastards. This is a Tarantino flick, and this movie really two things make the movie more than anything else. Three things. I'll say three things. The first thing is Christoph Waltz as our villain. He's a Nazi soldier. Yeah, remember the days when we all thought Nazis were bad guys. But anyway, yeah, he is a fantastic villain in this film. And then there's Brad Pitt giving an oddball, out of left field performance as an American soldier whose basic whose job is to hunt down Nazis. Him and his team of Inglorious Bastards. The finale is the third thing that takes this movie over the top. It's pure fantasy, and it's something that Tarantino would do later on. He would take historical uh, time pieces, basic period pieces in his movie, and he would take the historical context of those and flip the outcomes. He did it here. He did it in Django Unchained, and he did it most recently with Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. And that basically that got its start here in Inglourious Bastards, one of my favorite Tarantino movies. That brings us to my number four, and this is a very comedy heavy year for me for some reason. I'm not sure why. but the comedies really outdid the dramas for me overall, and this is no exception. This is a lot of people's favorite comedy of the year, and that is The Hangover. And another steelbook. It's plain on the inside, but it's got a great pic on the back with the baby. Yeah. If you've seen the movie, you know what that's all about. Um, but yeah, we got these guys, and they are hanging out for a bachelor party. They go to Vegas, and they wake up the next day and can't remember anything, and one of their crew is missing. So they got to go try to backtrack through the night and get lots of flashbacks and meet all these crazy characters. And it's just a blast from start to finish. It is not really a whole lot to say about The Hangover. Bradley Cooper is amazing in the movie. Ken Jeong is amazing in the movie, if a bit stereotypical in the film. Matter of fact, the whole cast is great. The chemistry between them. Surprisingly, Mike Tyson is great in the movie as he shows up playing himself and has some of the most memorable scenes in the film, as does Heather Graham, who plays, or- well, she played Roller Girl in Boogie Nights. Not Roller Girl here, but not a character that's terribly far off either. So yeah, The Hangover. If you just want a raunchy comedy, you throw that in. And that gets me to my number three movie. Definitely not a comedy this time, and one of my all-time favorite vampire movies. It may be my number one vampire movie of all time. I'm going to say stay tuned for that. For when we get to spooky season, I will probably do. I'm planning on doing a greatest vampire movies, or at least my favorite vampire movies list. And this movie is called Thirst. This is Park Chan-wook, who directed Old Boy. Some of you will know him from that. He's also directed a bunch of other great movies, but this one, as far as my money's concerned, is right up there with the very best. We got a very different kind of vampire movie. It's not just you know a guy who's been turned by some other vampire and then biting people. We get a guy who's a priest, and he is infected when he gets a blood transfusion. Um, yeah, the transfusion infects him in a way that causes him to become a vampire, and then he has to wrestle with the very idea of what he is, because he's a deeply religious man, and he does not want to go around killing people to sustain himself. And he has also been, as a priest, he's also been sexually repressed for a lot of his life. And so that is also bubbling to the surface as there is a woman that he meets or that he knows, and she is also she becomes a major major character, and I forget her name and I apologize, but she gives an amazing performance in her role, uh, um, as someone who takes a liking to becoming a vampire. So let's put it that way. And it's gory, it's bloody, so if you're not into that, don't watch. If it's also in Korean, if you're not into that, don't watch. But of course, you can dub it if you want. Um, but anyway, Thirst, I highly, highly, highly recommend. I recently it came up on another person's channel, and I was in the chat and I was like, "Hey, I'm taking credit for bringing it to this corner of the internet." And because I have introduced a few YouTubers to this movie, and they all liked it, so you're welcome. And that's my narcissistic moment for the day. And that's going to bring me to my number two film of 2009. And another animated film here. This one is Mary and Max. Actually, another stop motion, two stop motions, Coraline and now Mary and Max. Uh, Mary and Max is a brilliant film in my estimation. We get an autistic man who's a grown man. That's Max. We got Mary. He lives in New York, by the way. Mary is a young girl, 8 years old, but she lives in Australia. And this is back in the day when pen pals were a thing. And she decides that she wants a pen pal and just kind of picks a name out of a phone book. I think somehow she got a New York City phone book, and she picks out Max's name, writes him a letter, and then they basically write back and forth. Not basically, they write back and forth to each other for like 20 years. So all through her childhood into her adulthood, and eventually she wants to try to meet him. and she wants to get to New York. And so we follow the ups and downs of both of their lives, and just uh, amazing film from start to finish. One of my favorite animated films, and I just was just on the edge of my seat and all wrapped up in it when I watched it. It is not storyline. It's not try meant to horrify or anything like that. But just getting caught up in the lives of these two people uh, really, really, really sold it for me. So that's why it gets my number two movie of 2009. And before we get to my number one, just remember, like, comment, subscribe, do all those YouTube things, and stick around at the end of the video after I finish talking about number one, because there's going to be a little montage of my honorable mentions. So some of the things that you may think should be on the list are probably in the honorable mentions. And if I didn't, let me know in the comments what I missed. What are your top 10 movies of 2009, or just your top three or your top one, whatever the case may be? And yeah, let's have a discussion about it. And let's get into my number one movie, which I'm going to guess is not the number one movie for a lot of people. And that is another comedy. So clearly my favorite comedy of 2009, Black Dynamite. If you know anything about me, as far as my taste in comedy, I'm very, very into meta comedies. Comedy that have a lot of self awareness and spoof genres. I enjoy spoofs that make fun of a genre or a thing, right? But still, it's evident that it loves that genre or whatever it's spoofing, and is a good version itself, even while it's using the tropes that it's spoofing. And Black Dynamite does that perfectly, as far as I'm concerned. It's uh, a spoof of black exploitation films. Of course, it helps if you have a good amount of black exploitation experience. If you've watched a good number of those movies, the more you've seen, the easier it is to get all the jokes. I've seen a lot, not all of them. So don't come at me with have you seen this one and this one and this one, this one. I've seen a lot, right? But it's hit or miss, but I've seen enough where the jokes flow smoothly for me, and I laugh hysterically all the way through it when I'm not quoting along to it, because I've seen the movie enough. I've seen the movie quite a bit, and Michael Jai White, easily his best performance, um, his most fun movie, and we know him as this trained martial artist who brings that to the screen with him every time. And he does that here, but his character is so much more than that. His character is he is an amalgamation of so many leading men in black exploitation films, and he does it perfectly. And the things that they parody in this movie, you get the one tier, and then we get the different quality film stock in certain spots, and we get the callbacks to other black exploitation films. So if you are into spoofs at all and you haven't seen Black Dynamite, I'm gonna say don't jump out and watch it. Go watch some black exploitation films, and just off the top of my head, uh, movies like Foxy Brown and Coffee and Hell Up in Harlem and ah, I'm drawing a blank here, but Across 110th Street and Black TNT Jones, Black Belt Jones, TNT Jones, TNT Jackson, not TNT Jones, excuse me. Um, Black Caesar, Shaft. There's so many movies. Dolomite, definitely Dolomite. Also see those movies. Dolomite, Disco Godfather, and like. And then, then after you finish that journey, maybe even watch "I'm Gonna Get You Sucker" was another black exploitation spoof, and a classic at that. Then come to Black Dynamite, and you'll get everything. Otherwise, it may go over your head, and that's okay. But don't say you weren't warned. Go watch all those other movies first. Uh, there's two box sets right here. There's this black exploitation set, and there's one right there you can barely make out. If you get both of those box sets and watch all 10 of those movies that are there, 12 of those movies, there's six in a set. Yeah, it's six. So if you watch all 12 of those movies, you'll be pretty much ready for Black Dynamite and see why it is my number one movie of 2009. Uh, that's all I have for you guys. Again, let me know what you think. And those honorable mentions are coming up right after I say thank you for hanging out with me. And if you've been here before, thanks for hanging out with me again. Bye.